Good morning. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you to Yvonne and Karen and Crossings Animal Society for this opportunity. It's really great to be in a room with, as you were saying, preaching to the choir. It's lovely to have that kind of support in a room and know that everyone here is already on the same page. We just need to figure out what to do with that. So we have the funds, of course, and please support what they're doing today. I'm going to switch gears a little bit and tell you a little about what my organization does and what advocacy means for animals, why that's important, and how you can get involved with that. So my name's Shannon Dickerson, and I'm with Humane Action Pennsylvania. I'm the director of operations there, and just, why should you listen to what I have to say? Why should you care about this? I have a background in marketing, advocacy, animal welfare. I've been doing this work with Humane Action Pennsylvania for about 8 years now. We were an all-volunteer organization, and about 4 years ago, we're able to get the funding to bring on staff. So I was the first full-time employee at my organization. Passionate about animal protections, of course, and I'm from the other side of the state, so we're a statewide organization, but I live in Pittsburgh. And I have 2 cats and a flock of chickens. Those are my companion animals. Pennsylvania does lack a lot of protections for those companions. And so what I want to talk to you about today and what's really important to get across is it's wonderful to have shelters. It's wonderful to have all of that on-the-ground rescue, but you can be doing other things, including advocacy for policy issues that will really help move that needle in the right direction to protect animals. So what's already been done and what has my organization worked on from a policy perspective? I'm just going to highlight a few things. We were founded in 2015, and since then we have successfully passed 26 animal protection laws. Most of those are local municipalities across the state of Pennsylvania. But Act 146 was our first really big win for animals at a state level. So it allows pets to be included in domestic violence protection orders. Or PFAs, they're called, Protection from Abuse Orders in Pennsylvania. This is so important, as I already said, talking about that human and animal intersection. We see that it takes an average of 7 times for an abuse survivor to leave a domestic violence situation. That is only made more difficult if they can't take their pets with them and if they have no place to go. So we were really proud of this legislation. It was, supported on both sides of the aisle, and still took about 4.5 years to get passed. Local puppy mill sales bans, we would love to see this at a state level, but so far we've only been able to achieve it in municipalities, basically saying that you can't sell pets at a pet store that aren't rescued, that aren't shelter pets. You can't get them from a puppy mill, cats, dogs, and rabbits, and sell them. So this is a really popular piece of legislation that we would love to see spread throughout the Commonwealth or adopted at a state level. We also provide humane law enforcement training. Police officers are typically not trained in animal issues. There are obviously lots of laws that apply to animal cruelty and neglect, but there's a limited amount of time and subjects that police can be trained on. We provide free training to police departments on animal welfare issues. So if you have connections with your local police department, we can do it anywhere in the state, either virtually or in person. Please feel free to come up and talk to me afterwards. We would love to provide that service. If police don't know how to enforce animal laws, they won't get enforced, and we love to help with that. And then community advocacy and coalition building. We are a nonprofit, so most of what we do is really education and community programming. The advocacy piece obviously falls into that, but it's about 20% of what we actually do on average. Next slide. So our current state priorities. I'm not sure, did anyone hear about the pet cremation case? It was about 2 years ago. A whistleblower actually discovered that and brought the attention to the authorities that the crematorium was not cremating the pets. They were discarding the bodies, and the ashes they were giving back to family members were not remains of their pets at all. And this happened in the thousands of cases. This wasn't like an isolated incident. So a whistleblower brought attention to that. It was a crime from a perspective of fraud, but there's a lot more that can be done with oversight and making sure that people are held accountable in cases like that. So there is a pet cremation bill both in the House and the Senate. The numbers are there for the bills themselves and the bill sponsors. We would love to see this legislation pass by the end of this session, and we do think that it has a very good chance of that. We're going to talk about how you can support these a little bit later, but I just want to educate you on some of the issues for the things that are have been introduced right now that you can support and lend your name to. Pet inclusive housing. People don't realize that a lot of times, even places that allow pets don't allow certain breeds and certain sizes. They also price people out of being able to bring their pets with them, with pet rent, pet fees, additional pet deposits. And we've done the research. There are national organizations that do this data. Pets are not doing as much damage financially as these landlords are collecting. It's actually a hugely profitable industry to allow pets in your facilities because they're making so much money off of it. So 2 different things here. We would like to see pet inclusive policies, so no breed and size restrictions. Those are not indicators of pet behavior. Just because a dog is large or just because a dog is a certain breed does not mean that it's going to be dangerous or violent or anything like that. And then we would like to see caps, reasonable caps put on exorbitant fees so that people can be able to bring their pets with them. The number one reason shelters cite as people relinquish their pets is because they can't take them with them when they move. If the things that we're talking about today were enacted in Pennsylvania, about 300,000 additional places for housing would open up to people to be able to bring their pets. And we're not even talking about making tenants or making landlords allow pets who already don't. It's just being inclusive for places that are already pet friendly. And then an animal abuse registry. So I'm sure you're familiar with the concept of a registry when someone has committed a certain kind of crime. We would love to see an animal abuse registry brought to Pennsylvania. There are actually several bills right now that have been introduced that address this issue. We are working on the language of all of them. We're not particularly happy with it because a lot of times people write bills, they don't talk to the people that it impacts. We went and talked to the sheriff's department and said, hey, here are the bills, what do you think of them? And they're like, we're not doing any of the stuff that it says here, so we're not gonna support these. So we would love to see the language updated to make sure that these are actually effective. And when that happens, and we have spoken to a representative that we think this is going to happen soon, we can get the information out to you for which bill to support there. Where am I on time? 5 minutes? Okay. I would just love to hear from you. I talked about some things that are, realistic policies that have been, pieces of legislation that have been introduced that we can support. But if we don't talk about what's realistic or what's possible and what's happening by the end of this year, what would anybody in this room like to see from a policy perspective impacting animals in Pennsylvania or New Jersey? Anyone?
Representative Warren has a bill out. It's a cruelty to animals bill. It's in the Pennsylvania House to prevent live pigeon shoots.
Oh, yeah.
People are not aware that it's one of the few states in this country that allow, everybody's heard of clay pigeons. It started with live pigeons. They're actually bringing them into the state. Cities, they're capturing them, and they're used for literally, like they're released like you would a clay pigeon just for shooting.
They are illegally stolen from cities, typically. They are shipped in boxes, they are not given food or water, and then to make them fly, when they are brought to the shooting range, they electrocute them.
And so it is making its way through sponsorship in the Pennsylvania House right now. And so if anybody knows people, Representative Warren represents Yardley, Newtown, Upper Mansfield, Lower Mansfield. But if you know people elsewhere within the state that can advocate for that, that would be greatly appreciated.
And we'll talk about what advocacy means specifically here in a slide or two. So thank you so much. Anyone else have like a dream, pie in the sky? What would you like to see happen for animals? Yeah.
I get emails all the time from Trent where they have a lot of pit bulls and they euthanize them.
Mm.
And that drives me crazy.
Mhm, mhm.
Because they plead on these emails for people to adopt them. And many times they are adopted, but I don't understand why shelters can't be no-kill shelters. I just don't understand.
It's a great question, and I mean, I think it's a complicated and nuanced issue, and a lot of it, unfortunately, does come down to funding and to money. But when we're talking about pet-inclusive housing, let's be honest, one of the #1 breeds that are restricted are pit bulls. And you see them in the shelters at much higher rates than any other type of dog. So not a solution to the problem by any means. I think there will be a lot of things that come together to solve that problem, but it would be a step in the right direction if people don't have to surrender their pit bulls, people who already love and own pit bulls, because they can't bring them to where they live. All right, just in the interest of time, we'll move on. Advocacy starts with ordinary people. There's a list of things here that you can do, but a lot of people don't know how to do that exactly. It's very simple to be on our action team. Humane Action Pennsylvania has an action team that I'll tell you about a little bit more in a minute. Basically, it's as simple as you get an email and it tells you exactly what to do. Call this person at this number and say this thing to support this issue. And when I tell you we deal with legislators every single day, their offices tell us 5 to 6 calls can make the difference in a bill, because most people do not take action. Most people do not make a phone call, do not send an email. You lending your voice for literally 2 to 3 minutes a month can make the difference in the lives of thousands of animals forever. That's how impactful this can be. And we will tell you exactly how to do it. Just the next slide, please. So we have an Ending Companion Animal Cruelty Coalition. My organization works on behalf of all animals, farmed animals, animals raised for testing, wildlife. This is specific to companion animals. If that's your passion, wonderful. You can scan that QR code, or you can go to humaneactionpennsylvania.org. There'll be another slide after this with that information. And you can join our coalition. You will be on an email list. It's not committing you to anything. It's just giving you access to information to be involved, know the issues, know what's going on, and know exactly what you can do for help. We're not going to be, asking you to come to our events or come, give us money. This is all about just joining. There's a very small sign-up fee for individuals or organizations that's lifetime membership, and it just allows us to continue the work that we do to make sure that you can have access to the information to help the animals. Yeah, so please grab that, and I will be here afterwards. I didn't leave time for questions because we're on a short kind of time frame, but I will be here afterwards. Please come get my card, talk to me. And then next slide, please. You can just, no, you're fine. So there's the information from my organization. Again, I am happy to have conversations with you, hand out my card. We are about bringing education to you. We're, trying to make sure that you feel empowered to get the things done you want. And we're a very pragmatic and realistic kind of organization. We want to see things happen that can. And so with your help, we can do so much more for animals than we can alone. Thank you so much for your time.